Alright, Spider-Man. What do you have to say for yourself? The shadow is a man, but a man made of the same stuff as the carpentry of the building. He is studying you intently. A crabman. Hey, who's there? The man leans forward a little, fixing you with a steady, unreadable gaze, then speaks.
I bet your alcohol use has made you into a scared little pussy, Holmes. But don't worry. Everything's gonna be alright. You've come to the right place.
Okay. That's not really in like the top 10 accents I was expecting, but okay. That accent is Villalobos. Villalobos, huh? Lobos. Gotcha. A peninsula in Minsk and a district in Jamrock. There's a sizable contingent of Villalobos speaking Meskis in Revachol. Is Mesk supposed to basically be North America, I wonder? The right place for what?
Here you can receive the mother's love. And when you're ready, she will take your hand and lift you out of the despair at the bottom of the bottle.
This man is obviously a habitual narcotics user. Do we really need to question him?
The lieutenant whispers to you, quietly. Hey, and what was that about the bottle again? You haven't even drank that much lately. Lay off it already, sheesh. I have had a lot to drink, but not in the last, like, 3 days. But generally speaking, a lot. I guess I have a bit of a problem. It's been getting out of hand lately, but...
Estás crudo, eh? I see deep inside you. Your body and spirit are suffering greatly from overindulgence. And you don't even know it.
I'm gonna be so doomed when his voice stops happening and I have to do it myself. Oh, I'm very in touch with my suffering.
Not all of it. I was like you once. You don't know all the havoc El Vino is wreaking on your mind and your spirit. Necesitas parar, homie.
You know, actually, since we're here, you may want to pay attention to what the ceiling climber is saying.
For some reason, I feel like you have a point there. Or, who do you think you are? Some crazy guy under the roof? What is this shit? You know, alcohol is central to my identity. If I wouldn't drink, I just wouldn't be me. That's definitely not true. This is stupid. You don't even know. I don't even know what this is. Yeah. For some reason, I feel like you have a point there.
Don't trust me. Trust the mother. I'm only the messenger, Holmes.
His voice echoes in the cold air of the church. Got a new thought already. Wasteland of reality. I thought wasteland was one word, not two. -2 physical instrument due to insomnia. 20-hour research time. It has been brought to your attention that you're an alcoholic, and that it's a sickness, and it's killing you. You're crawling on your knees through life, your booze-filled belly dragging on the floor, your brain now fuzzy, now in overdrive, your hair sticking together with today's cold sweat and yesterday's vomit. Perhaps they're right. Anything's better than this. Even bone-dry reality itself. Maybe you can quit. I wonder if this is a quest that makes you get rid of that my objective that tells me to drink. I don't remember if I even opted into that quest or not, or if it just immediately was there because your character immediately has an objective to drink no matter what because they're an alcoholic. Which is distressing. That's a hard... I appreciate having a checklist, but this is a hard screen to parse. Especially given that some of these are things I don't want to do, and some of them are things that I don't need to do, or even can't do anymore, but are still listed for some reason. It's kind of a mixed bag there. My oldest real objective is the victim's tattoos, of all things. Go figure.
This is the Church of the Mother of Silence. You are welcome here.
He sways gently in the beams, waiting for you to take it all in. You have no idea what the fuck he's talking about. Is he just trying to throw you off your game? Whatever it is, he's confident about it. Just look how gracefully he sways. 'Tis not an act, my liege. saving perchance he hath deceived his very self. This man is a zealot. You must be the crab man. There, here it comes. Never known myself to be a crab, but if that's the name you've got for me, I won't stop you from using it. It's not even close. It's not even close. I have no idea how to do that. To be fair, it's really more of a spider. He considers this for a moment. I always thought of myself more like a flame, flickering along the rafters and beams. He pauses. It may be that I gotta work on my technique. What were you before you became a crab man? I was in a gang, but my memories of that time are fading. Most of them are already gone. I lost my memory too, but I like it. It's like I get to create a whole new me, start again from scratch. He frowns. That's not really the point, essay. You gotta give yourself over to service. Service of the mother, that is. Do you remember your name, sir? Tiago is my name, but those syllables don't mean much to me these days. A name isn't your identity, but also, so to speak, your place among your fellows, your place in the world. I ain't got no use for a place anymore. My name's Harry Dubois, and my place in the world is Lieutenant W. Freighter. That's just the thing, Holmes. None of that matters. He sounds melancholy saying this. His limbs a mere shadow below the ceiling. What are you doing here? This is a special place. There's a perforation in the world up there. A way out into nothingness. He nods towards the ceiling. This church was built around it. For purposes of veneration. I circle it. Nurtured by the silence bestowed by the mother. One of these days, I'll be pure enough to drink from it directly. There's a perforation in the world up there. A way out into nothingness. That doesn't sound good. Because it sounds like it's leaking into the abyss, or whatever we're calling it. The gray, the expanse. I've lost the word for the moment. The void. Probably shouldn't be playing with that. Who's this mother of silence you keep talking about? Oh, that's no simple question, essay. She is one who can't be painted or sculpted. She is a cavity in the dark, beyond sense. She saved me, but I couldn't describe her to you. No one can, Holmes, and no one ever will. What will happen once you drink from this perforation? I will be incinerated, but not destroyed. Finally, at one with the state of the world before reality began. That sounds a bit like substitution behavior, no? You know a thing or two about that. You sure you didn't just switch one drug for another? It's not like that at all, man. It's just faith and joyful service. Too gleeful, those words. He is lying, not to you, to his very own self. Faith is a kind of drug. He shakes his head. I've heard that before, and I know I can't convince you on the spot. But think, when's the last time you woke up from silent communion with a hangover? Regretting what you did last night? Maybe not specifically communion, but it's weird to imply that religious doctrine can't lead to any behavior that you'd regret. I think love might have been my love of choice. Love might have been my drug of choice, and I think I'm still hungover from it. He looks at you gravely. Took you for a good spin, huh? Don't worry, bro. That love is but a drop compared to the ocean of the mother's love. The mother will eat all of you, and never spit you out. Definitely sounds like a spider. Especially sounds like a spider now. I was being insensitive. Sorry. Let's move on. No worries, man. I know this shit takes time. I still don't understand what you're doing in the church. I'm a seraph, Holmes. I sing the Mother's glory. Like a seraph or a seraphim? I think seraph might be a made-up word in this case, but it harkens to other words. Can you sing for me? Sing for me something. I ain't from no Mariatti. If that's what you're thinking. And the song I sing is silent as the mother. Mariatti. I think we're riffing off of mariachi. Mariachi is a mesque style of music and dance commonly seen in all manner of festivities, especially weddings. It's delightfully quaint, owing to its peasant origins. Yeah, I think it's mariachi. The comparisons are unsubtle in this case. They might have been unsubtle all game, but I live near Mexico, so this is my neighborhood for once, which largely has not been all game, being a European game. Where there's at least things that I'm familiar with here more so than like the difference between Norway and Sweden, for example. I'm like, He lost his cool there for a moment. Seems you hit some nerve. How did you even find this place, this church? Hard to say. I think I did some construction work here. Back when I had some material worries. Up there, I realized what the true purpose of the church was. Been spending a lot of time here, ever since. The past is nothing to me now. Way. It didn't belong to me. I have no idea what way he's supposed to keep me referring to, honestly. Are these yours? Show him the scarf and shoes you found lying around. I think they were, a long time ago. He looks at the red clothing items in your hand. I had to shed them like skins to get closer to the center of the silence. You can have them. I don't need them anymore. They look pretty dapper, actually. Right, I had other questions. The sinewy figure lingers on the wooden beams, blending into the shadows. You've been here a long time. Do you know why the church was abandoned? Police raid a while back. He responds, his voice suddenly flat. Did you witness it? Not really. Or at least I don't remember much of it anymore. The mother's love has done its job. That's what's so great about the mother. It lets you forget everything. Some ravers want to turn this place into a nightclub. The ones in the tent outside, right? I seen them. Guessing they're the ones who call me a crab. Finally scared of me. Probably scared of me. Wait, do they have reason to be scared? Nah, man. They look pretty funny. And I don't harm no one anymore. Anyway. Anymore. So what do you think about the nightclub, that is? Why not? They wouldn't bother me none. I'm usually way up here there, imbibing. Ain't no music on earth that can reach where I go. 'Cause of the silence. Might even be nice to have some company. Do you know where the other spooker is? Point at the strange machines around you. Other spooker? Oh, ese vaita muy estudioso. He laughs. Dunno, Holmes. Viejita is grandma? Wait, so there is another person living in the church and it's a viejita? No, I just call her viejita because of her clothes. She's actually quite young. He scratches his head. Or maybe not that young. Age is one of the many masks we wear. Wait, what if it's Ruby? The lieutenant seems to be thinking the same. He takes out his notebook. Did it ever seem to you like she was hiding here from something? You mean like a fugitive? He glances at the abandoned radio computer on the other side of the nave, pulsing with light. Then he shakes his head. No, man. Quite the opposite. I don't think she cares much about authority, or anything else for that matter. Maybe only about her machines. I see. The lieutenant seems contented with that answer. And where is she now? I told you, Holmes. I don't know. How can you not know that when you both live here? I don't really follow her coming and goings. Just see her typing on the computer now and then. We've got different interests. So you've got nothing else to tell me? How she looks, what she does, who is she? I'm afraid not, I say. You just have to wait until she comes back, or... He shrugs. Or search through her radio computer. Iago doesn't even know what she looks like. Is it because he's up there obliviating himself all day? Have you by chance heard the Viejita say the password to her radio computer? So many times I say, you need it for something? Surveys are a good way to fish for personal information, especially in the name of public safety. I'm doing a survey of passwords and passcodes, identifying regional trends, in the interest of public safety, of course. Don't sweat it, Vato. The password is afterlife death. What do you think of that? Makes me almost pity na la nihilista pequena. When I hear it, I'm bad at this. Okay then, thanks. I think we're done here, I say. The figure crawls off into the darkness above. That was an interesting conversation. Hopefully, I'm still not sure. However, I'm still not sure whether we'll find our suspect here. Only one way to find out. Only one way to find out. Fun fact, once upon a time, I just went away from taking Spanish and took German instead because I was afraid of Spanish pronunciation. It's basically why I looked at the pronunciation of these different languages and I'm like, I'm gonna lose my mind a little bit. At least that's what was going through my head when I was like 13 and picking which language I was gonna do for the next 3 years. Good afternoon, Fortress Accident on St. Brune. This is East Insulindian Repeater Station 1. Please repeat. Is this the personal log? Let's try this again. I think I may have the right password for the personal log. Good. Please repeat the password. After, life, death. Good. I've unlocked the filament. After ending the call, please press print to access the filament. Fortress Accident, is there anything else I can do for you today? Thanks, but I'm finished with this call. Goodbye, Fortress Accident, she says as her voice disappears into a whirl of static. Well, she's so polite, so friendly, even though we're like clearly gunning into somebody else's computer and being naughty, naughty people and all that. Print. The printer prints out a long text document with dated paragraphs. It looks a bit like someone's journal. The first entry, made on the 4th of February, 52, by an unknown author, is short and concise. Arrived at the church. The door was boarded up, so I used a crowbar to get inside. Looks like the place has been deserted. Nothing out of the ordinary, but I'll ask around. Need to figure out how to get the electricity in. The lieutenant leans closer, scouring the printout over your shoulder. Just as you finish reading, he looks up, muttering under his breath. 4th of February. That's over a month ago. Whoever set up those machines has been here for quite a while. You think this log might be connected to the case? Our case? No, I don't think so. It must be some local. His eyes wander to the various machines around him. Local eccentric. Well, we're gonna keep reading. For all we know, it's like, wow, I heard a gunshot. That was weird. On this exact date of the murder? 6th of February, 52. Had a little chat with a local fisherman. Said I shouldn't go near that place. Said the church was spooky and ridden with narcotics. It's a little spooky, alright. Still haven't figured out the electricity. 7th of February, 52. Finally got the electricity in. Next on the agenda, a new antenna. I'm thinking Esker series, something advanced. Why would she need an antenna? Why would anyone need any of this equipment here? He steps on a wire running on the ground, inspecting it with his boot. We're setting up the radio computer. 8th of February, 52. Bought the antenna, had some problems setting it up, called Simo for help. Heard the others are back to making art. Drinking somewhere out of town. Silislaw started a rock band again. Lexi has been seen asking for money from strangers. I have no idea how to pronounce that, by the way. The L that's crossed out. But at least the artists have their act together. They're qualified labor. They can work anywhere. Graphic design, ads. Programmers are doing fine too. I mean, they're programmers. The writers, though, they're fucked. I have to find out what caused that data loss and be done with it. Still don't understand how it managed to wipe out the backup when the backup wasn't even connected to the front. I know. Everyone thinks it's impossible. They say I must be lying. I'm here to set it right. A data loss. Seems like something to do with radio computers. Unfortunately, I don't know enough about them to understand what the author's saying. Something about the backup data getting destroyed. And how everyone thought it was the author's fault. He adjusts his glasses. Let's just keep reading. Artists, programmers, Lexi. Who are all these people? I think these people worked in the radio computer games business. The one we saw in the doomed commercial area. They must be her former co-workers. 12th of February, 52. Brought some food from the grocery store. Apparently there's a strike going on in the harbor. Definitely not happy to see the Martinez people again. Everything's now set up in the church. Going to start working tomorrow, 8 a.m. Did she have to, like... Is that how this works? Does she have to call in and give her password every time she wants to add, like, these really mundane feed bonus, like, additions to her diary that she could just be writing out by hand? Doesn't seem like especially private information. The strike. He strokes his chin. We are nearing the date of the murder. Keep reading. I'm interested now. I want to know what's that radio anomaly that sent this person here in the first place. 25th of February, 52. I've been sending data up to Lintel for a while now, trying to recreate the data loss, but nothing. Didn't even feel like logging in the disappointment. But I did discover a curious audio-spatial anomaly at the back of the church. I've named it the Swallow. It swallows sound. Need to get some mics. What's she talking about? The lieutenant looks to his right, toward the silence. That's a really creepy thing, by the way, that part of the room. 28th of February, 52. Yes. The first recordings confirm that the swallow is real and I'm not just losing my mind. It's a pillar of silence with a diameter of approximately 3 meters. Seems like the higher I go, the less I record. This might be a coincidence or it could be connected to the data loss that led me here. The pillar of silence. She is talking about the silence. Is she suggesting it's more than just an architectural quirk? But what could it be? Look at the water basins behind you. The lieutenant doesn't give an answer. He follows your gaze, studying the basins. The water shines in them. No ripples. March 52. Some kind of young disco men have appeared next to the church. I've been trying to record the silence to find the epicenter, but now it turns out I've also been capturing the future of dance music. One neo-disco song over and over again. Fortunately, the song is so monotonous I was able to devise an algorithm to factor it out. The other day, one of the disco men came in. Before I could even say hello, she got scared and left. Good. I don't want anyone to distract me from my work. So basically, she saw the weird wall climbing zealot and the old lady, and that was enough, apparently. Does the old lady... She never mentions Tiago, actually. A disco man. Must be a cell. A seal? I forgot. Shit. She must be describing a seal. That girl on the ice? Sounds like her, yes. March 52. We don't have dates anymore. I got a call from the repeater station. Someone has tried to access the radio computer in our old office in Martinez. Can't do anything about it. The storekeeper still doesn't want to let me inside the building. Thinks I'm part of some kind of curse. How Martinez of her. That was me. That's why there's no... He's not acknowledging the dates because it's like variable, because it's my behaviors. That's me. I was the one who broke into the radio computer, and the storekeeper must be Plaisance. I knew it wasn't a good idea to meddle with that machine. No, it was a great idea. You're learning things. This is how you learn things about machines. Interfacing is getting defensive. March 52. A new 2-meter aux cable. Noodles, crackers, ping pong energy drinks. Water, toothpaste, gum. Some canned air. Ah. Your reading is interrupted by the sound of the church door opening. It's a loud door. Hello. A strange woman makes straight for the radio computer. Suna the programmer. Well, I guess we get to meet her. Has she noticed us? Thinking no. I mean, at that point, I guess we were caught up. We already passed the part of her journal where she would have mentioned a gunshot if it happened. So, she just didn't remark on it, I guess.
Breaking into my radio computer, I see.
She glares at you. As she holds down the off button for several seconds, the machine reboots. Yes, you are breaking in, but not into her radio computer. You're a master circuit bender.
I do apologize for the intrusion, madame. We are with the RCM, you see.
We're looking for a suspect in a murder investigation. We thought that they might be hiding here.
No one's hiding here.
She barely looks up from the keyboard. You hear the machine whir back to life. I mean, you're here and somebody else is upstairs. There's at least 2 people here.
It's just me and my computer, and it has been this way for weeks. Now, please give me some room. I need 2 seconds to see that you haven't destroyed anything.
We should talk to her after she has rebooted the machine.
She doesn't want to deal with us. But she also can't stop us, because I'm an unstoppable force. That bugs everybody. In white, silver, and apricot faience. Alright. Faience. Glazed ceramic ware. In particular, decorated tin glazed earthenware, in the type that includes Delftware and Myolica. This is an endless rabbit hole of words I don't understand, basically. Huh. But one takeaway is that I mean, all the results that come up are basically a bunch of white plates that have various paintings on them. Some of them vaguely look almost like China, but not quite. Yeah. So that's the takeaway, is that it's art on ceramic and stuff like that, which differs from the, like, at first glance I would have thought it was a mural. like on a normal wall until you see that's shattered, at which point I would think that maybe it's some kind of stained glass thing, but it doesn't have the takeaways of being stained glass either, so it seems to just, yeah, I guess it's some kind of ceramic type material. Not sure why the wall's made of it. And if snow's getting in, then does that mean that whole side of the church is open and I could have just walked in? I'm curious about that too, I guess. So we've got the Wild Hunt guy down here. Various knights, it looks like. Then you have this saintly figure towering over everyone, and her lungs are glowing. Specifically her lungs. This is her Innocence, Dolores Dei. Cradled in her arms are a pair of glowing lungs, clearly visible from underneath her flowing dress. You should kneel. You should kneel, commands the description of the window? What? Why not? Wow, he really collapsed. Your knees touch the floor. Floorboards are hard and cold. There you kneel among the snowdrifts, diffuse light falling on your hands from beyond the glass. Look up. The woman looks down at you, kneeling. She towers among her followers, architects, laymen, courtiers. There's a sad smile on her lips and a glint in her green-blue eye. Of what? Compassion? Remorse? She acknowledges the passing of someone who is still alive. The passing of someone who's still alive? We're not taking passing to mean dying if she's still alive? It's compassion? As that soft word passes through your mind, the lieutenant draws an X-shaped cross from shoulder to shoulder. Do the same as you get up. X-shaped instead of plus sign shaped. Your fingertips touch your chest 4 times. Then you rise from your knees into the apricot-colored light of the window. Above you, the woman still smiles, her distant smile, sundered by the crack in the glass. This is Dolores Dei. The old woman in the village was right. He looks around. This must be the Dolorian Church of Humanity in Martinez, or the small Pinewood Church in some records. You knew of the place? It's a minor landmark, not easy to find. Most maps misplace it. He lowers his voice. It was built not long after Revershol's founding. 300 or so years ago by the first-generation settlers. On the coast of an uninhabited archipelago, where only animals had roamed before, in the wild reeds. What else do you know? There used to be 7 stave churches on the coast. The Sepsoers, they called them. The 7 sisters. Only one remains. The rest were burnt in the revolution, or used for building materials. We should be respectful here. Although the building appears to be deserted, I do not believe we'll find the instigator here. Something else, perhaps. He looks at the machinery lying around. Respectful? Is the lieutenant a follower of Dolorianism? Kim, are you a follower of Dolorianism? Yes, we all are. Her name, body, and rule are synonymous with humanism. Our laws, the laws we enforce, are Dolorian in origin. I didn't think you were spiritual. It's not spiritual, it's constitutional. The Dolorian system does not demand faith, only accordance. So it's a rule set of laws, period. That's just sort of symbolized. How do I know this is the mother of humanism? Despite the damage you've done to yourself, the title appears lodged in your hippocampus. This is her Innocence, Dolores Dei. The innocence of humanism, internationalism, and welfare state. perhaps the most famous being ever to have lived. No amount of Commodore Red can wipe her sad smile from your brain, thing. It has survived the deluge and haunts you still, and will haunt you forever, as it haunts all men. Wait, what exactly is an innocence? I've heard of this system. The highest category of historical individual, an embodiment of the world spirit. So it's like a saint? A ruler? More. An innocence is elected to office by the founding party, a precedent that has taken place a mere 6 times in the entirety of history. The legal system of the Real Belt is built to accommodate inocentric rule, should it coincide with our time. So it's like an alternate governmental system if an innocent is elected, which only happens sometimes? Huh. Humanism, internationalism, and the welfare state. An innocence is infallible. The decisions made by one are not decisions, they are inevitabilities. They would have happened anyway, only accelerated, packed into decades instead of centuries. An innocence is a continuous, compressed event, a sacred human being. It is an honor and a glory to live when one is in office. Is one in office now? No. We are alone. Whoa, heavy. That response to it. They could be either incredible or terrifying depending on their nature. Rulers don't have a history of having great natures. Okay, when did she rule? 300 years ago. In the wake of the discovery of this Isola, the Insulindian, by explorers from the continent of Mundi. She is, among other things, the innocence of inter-isolary travel and the connected world. What else do I know about her? Many things. You know, she was a woman of the court, the wife of an influential Marquise, and eventually the principal advisor to Irene la Navigateur, Queen of Cernise, modern day Sur la Clef. Also that she was gorgeous beyond beauty. Okay, what else? Was she smart? Terribly. Women of the court were expected to play both contract bridge and chess sufficiently well to prove an interesting challenge to a man. A similar grasp in matters of philosophy, theology, and science was encouraged. She was, by all means, a kept woman. She made most of her position in the antediluvian court, a court visited by the most prominent thinkers and artists of the day. In secret, she was becoming the era's preeminent philosopher of the state, a scalpel, a piercing gaze. She was an almost preternaturally magnetic and intelligent individual. To her contemporaries, she appeared out of time, a messenger from the future of the species. We all fell in love with her, head over heels. Even before she was declared an innocence, her influence was tremendous. How come? It was on her advice that Irene la Navigateur sponsored a number of voyages into the Pale, a costly, often tragic endeavor, ultimately vindicated by the discovery of the New World, the piece of reality you're standing on. She was crowned 2 years after the first expedition returned, setting in motion what's widely considered to be the greatest era in history, the DeLorean era. Wow. Wow, indeed. Her innocence was declared, and the queen she had advised for years fell on her knees before her. She was so overcome with emotion that her lungs started glowing in her chest. I don't necessarily believe you there, but, you know, there's other supernatural things going on in this game enough that I can't fully discount that. Bystanders reported golden filaments lighting the already sunlit chamber around her, clearly visible beneath her dress. This is why the lungs are a symbol of love for the cultures of the Real Belt. The lungs are a symbol of love. Learning new things here. I wonder if that encourages or discourages smoking at that point. I want more. As did we all. The lands of Mesk and the Occidental are, and even far away Supramundi. Altogether, 21 of the 40 mondial nations of the time immediately accepted Innocent rule, even before her crowning. Her crowning. In a city called Advesperasit, in Vesper Messenia, her homeland. The name of the city means evening comes, but it happened on a winter's morning, where the canals frozen and slush falling out of the sky. She was dressed in a white and pearl dress in an emptied-out plaza, with the crowd far away. Already her Therias, the secret servicemen of the Innocence, were worried about an assassination attempt. Jesus, these back and forths. She must have been beautiful, or I don't care how she looked. I don't care. It doesn't hurt me. Alright, Jesus Christ. She must have been beautiful. Oh, yes. She looked like humanity's young mother. A perfect mother. Insultingly beautiful. It was her face, and shoulders and hands were covered in soft down of underfeathers. You know this well. Very well. Midwinter snow was beating the cobblestones around her. A small attaché of officials stood by her as her Theriers placed a white gold wreath on her head. The crowning was mostly witnessed by Secret Servicemen. Then what? One of the men in the Secret Service killed her. 22 years later, a young man who had come to suspect that Dolores Dei was not entirely human, but something else. Whoa! We're going in directions now. Also, we went from her crowning to then what? Oh, well, she got murdered 22 years later. That's the next thing in your story is her murder 22 years later? What? Something that had walked into our midst, watching us stumble for hundreds if not thousands of years, until it decided to interfere in the course of our history. We were supposed to come up with this ourselves, the man was reported to have screamed at the Innocents. Dolores Dei was shot in her chest with a fowling piece 8 times. The man, thought to be insane, said he once touched her and her body had been unnaturally warm, like a furnace, and that sometimes, while on duty, he observed her forgetting to breathe for over 10 minutes. This inhuman quality was witnessed by many others as well, glowing lungs and all. It is commonly attributed to mass hysteria in religious psychology. How do you know somebody didn't breathe for 10 minutes? If it, like, I'm not especially hyper aware of how often people are breathing, generally speaking, unless it's making a noise. I don't know. Was there something terrifying about her? Terrifying is a term too emotionally charged for your semantic memory, or what remains of it, but although she is often considered to be the greatest human being to ever live, there was something ominous about Dolores Dei, constantly surrounded by her Theriers. She was the most socially secluded and self-aware of all the Innocents. Some modern thinkers would consider her a war criminal for the campaigns she waged against the Mesk state. And then there were the resettlement programs. This is starting to sound not so positive. What happened? The Mesk state tried to detach itself from the Innocentic rule. Parts of the world were experiencing whiplash from accelerating into secularism. Her mandatory education programs and mass resettlement of upstream Magritte were problematic as well. Dissenters were suppressed by a military force she called the Army of Humanity. It's starting to sound like her being the greatest human being to ever live might have been somewhat propaganda. It's hard to say. There's definitely some worrying things, although it's hard to think of leaders that don't come across as being horrible by the end. Suggesting those who fight against it are not part of humanity. She adored chess, yes, but also military war games. Dolores Dei often holds a tiny tin soldier between her index finger and thumb. an icon such as this. She was also blonde, the blondest woman you have ever seen, with green eyes, the color of the Pisantic Mera Interregnum. The blondest woman you've ever seen, and she had a soldier in her hand. Neither of those are currently true. She looks like she has brown hair. You could say it's shadow, but her hair would probably still be brighter than that if she's the blondest woman you ever seen. Those platinum blondes have just basically white hair, practically. Not hair that's that dark. Little is known of her Marquis's husband. It's as if he vanished from history after completing his role, which was to introduce Dolores Dei to the court. In conclusion, yes, there is something lonely, paranoid, and even terrifying that people seldom mention, but feel when they think of her. The subtle terror is part of her iconography. Lieutenant Euphrata, you stood there for over 5 minutes. The lieutenant's calm voice echoes in the cold air of the church. What are you thinking of, if I may ask? Glowing lungs, that's fucked up. It's a variety of responses. None of them so subtle as just thinking that, like, oh, she was creepy. You can say she's connected to the case, probably not. Glowing lungs, yeah, I guess. That's just a weird way to phrase it, though. Huh. He's not human. Okay. He takes his glasses off to clean them, then after a while he says, "This church, the coast in general, we shouldn't linger here. This isn't a good place to get lost in. We should conclude our business and move on." Reconstruct the glass. Did it. A jigsaw of broken shards falls into place in front of you. A ghostly reconstruction of the stained glass window. Before it was shattered here was an older woman beneath the younger woman. In a text, a leitmotif below them both. I've heard that word before, but usually in the context of music. A leitmotif essentially referring to a repeating phrase that happens over a course of several different works to evoke a particular idea or concept or even person, which is why they'll have a particular little riff that represents individual characters in, say, Star Wars, and then when they play certain songs, they'll have elements from different characters incorporated into the same song to represent the people that are having conflict in the scene. Well, like, so you'll have like you might have some variation of like the Twin Sons or the Star Wars, not the Star Wars theme, that doesn't really show up as much, but various ongoing songs from Star Wars might be interwoven with individual phrases that represent like Rey or Leia or whatever into the scene, and that's like the leitmotif. I'm just stealing information at this point from Sideways. Everyone should go to watch the channel Sideways and subscribe to the channel Sideways and watch all the videos on the channel Sideways where he says the word leitmotif a lot. This is leitmotif with a V though. I'm guessing it means something similar though. If you type leitmotif with a V, it's like, do you mean leitmotif with the F? Yep, a recurrent theme throughout a musical or literary composition associated with a particular person, idea, or situation. Hey, I was basically directly correct with that before I looked it up. Neat. Just double checking that a V didn't mean something else, but I think the F and the V are synonymous. What shadowed this mosaic? Unknown. A motor carriage? A gunshot? Someone falling into it? Or maybe just hooligans looking for something to break? Who's this older woman? You wearing glasses? I think she is. The escutcheon on her throne says, Irene the Navigator. She is depicted as an older woman wearing thick-rimmed glasses, holding a golden Reichsafel in one hand and a scepter in the other. This is the queen, her Innocence Dei advised. Above, she herself is whole. Small figures of wise men, common men, worshippers, walk up the stairs to stand at her feet. Secret servicemen, terriers, stand in a row, guarding her. It must have taken years to reproduce this work in all its dizzying detail. And then someone broke it. The motto, what does it say? We love both, woman, in luminous black letter. Aris la vie mort. Après la mort, la vie de nouveau. And then along the left side, après le monde, le gris. Après le gris, le monde. After life, death. After death, life again. After the world, the pale. After the pale, the world again. This is the greatest leitmotif of humanism. A summary of the effect of the discovery of the Sicila, the Insulindian, on human thinking. A tremendous sea change akin to finding life after death. After life, death. After death, life again. After the world, the pale. After the pale, the world again. Lieutenant, this used to say, death, life again. He nods. After the world, the pale. The pale. After the pale, the world again. This exaltation is common in Dolorian secularism. In the early years, it was even incorporated into the Elysium slogan. No more, however. Why? It was deemed subservient to use a strongly moral interrelated motto. We're already suspected of bootlicking. The sentence also seen as too feminine. It was a macho thing. What is the RCM motto now? Justice, union, prudence, and force. I like the other one better. So do I. Hey, we agree on things again. That's always a good sign. Yeah, justice, union, prudence, and force. I can appreciate prudence being in there, but the fact that force is there is defining yourself based around force is just kind of a bummer. Makes it too high of a priority. Too quickly an option. The mother of humanism towers above you, a wax painting on a cracked pane of glass. Nothing has changed in her expression. Well, that was interesting. Oh. Hey, Her Innocence, Dolores Dei, liked little figurines, right? Like holding little men between her fingers, remember? What? You have the Headless Fawn Rider figure. You should give it to her. Win her back. What? Win who back? I can't win her back. She's a long dead historical figure. Don't be so pessimistic. Love doesn't die that easily. I should. Yes, this is a task of mine now. So very, very nifty. Nifty and mysterious. This is surely what the figurines are for. Hammers and nails. I have a hammer. Where's my nail? Approach to thinking about things I find. Got 3 levels. Neat. This might be a mistake. Dolores Dei was fond of figurines. She deserves more. You should offer her any and all you have one day. If you meet her in person. What an odd task to give yourself, but here we are. Wait, what? If I meet her in person? What am I anticipating happening? I should wonder. Blood oxygen is boring. Yeah, I don't necessarily need finger pistols on. It's probably the next one to remove if I want. The Wompty Dumpty Dom Center. Let's give up on the finger pistols for the sake of sobriety. I'm such a boring cop. I'm doing it for Kim. The art degree is so useful. Isn't there a thing where I get a bonus from magnesium? Is magnesium what I take to increase my morale? I thought I had like a bonus that made magnesium do something good. But maybe not so much. I think it's mostly just 2 volition now. Which is handy. It's not a stat that I'm great at increasing. So there's that. They've kind of got a spare point right now. Conceptualization never hurts. Ta-da! Alright. Next episode we deal with character that does not want to talk to me. I know, that doesn't really narrow it down.